Welcome to Speak for Yourself. It's your boy, Emmanuel Acho, without Marcellus right now, but I'm going to keep it rolling. I got to tell y'all what I just realized. Lakers fans, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. It's about to be a cakewalk through the Western Conference all the way up until the finals. Now, why? In life, in business, and in sports, experience matters. And what I realized is the Lakers, one man, LeBron James, they got all the experience. Yes, they dominated the Suns last night, but I'm not even talking about that because when I look at the entire Western Conference, they dominate everybody when it comes to experience. Now, let's just look at the Western Conference, right? Jazz, Suns, Clippers, Nuggets, Mavs, Blazers, they're all ahead of the Lakers. Now, I don't even know who's going to be in the A seed. It gets too muddled down there, so I'm not going to talk about that. But when you start to look at the 1 through 6 seeds, all the teams ahead of the Lakers, they pale in comparison when it comes to chips. Let's start it off with the 1 seed, the Jazz. Now, the Jazz got some dudes. They got some dudes. Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's a dude. Spidey Mitchell, when he's healthy, we all know he is a dude. But when you look at the Jazz's 5 starters, none of the 5 have ever won an NBA championship. Now, how about the 2-seeded Suns? Chris Paul, top 5 all-time in steals. Chris Paul, top 5 all-time in assists. Devin Booker is a walking bucket. But nobody on the Suns starting lineup has ever won a chip. How about the Clippers? Now, Clip City, Chip City. I got you, Marcellus. I'm going to show some love. Yes, Kawhi, he's won 2. Serge Ibaka, he's won 1. But the Clippers might be the only team you even have to think about fearing if you're the Lakers. Because when we move on to the 4 seed in them Nuggets, the Joker should absolutely win MVP this season. Make no mistake about it. Jamal Murray, you get healthy, big dog. But that's a big goose egg when it comes to NBA championships among the Nugget starters. 5 seed, who is it? The Mavs, led by Luka. The Dawn, Porzingis, a bad man as well. But that's a young team, still a ways away from winning. So the Mavs, goose egg when it comes to their starters that have ever won NBA championships. And the 6th seed, the last team that seeded ahead of the Lakers, right there at 6, the Trailblazers. Now, we know the Blazers got dudes. They got Dame. They got CJ. They actually have 1 chip amongst their starters, and it's Norman Powell? So as I look at it, y'all, when it comes down to experience being the trump card, and I played for a couple Hall of Fame coaches who told me this, hey, Acho, I've forgotten more football than you've ever learned. When I think about LeBron James, he got 4 NBA championships. That's the same number of all the starters for the seeds sitting ahead of him combined. Lakers, in my mind, have nothing to worry about. But let me bring in a first-round pick, a Fox NBA analyst, Jim Jackson, 15-year NBA vet. So, Jim J, you tell me this. How you feel about the Lakers?
First of all, I like the presentation you just had right there. You kind of broke down and brought everything together. So I'm going to give you some love on that. Great homework. But it's a great homework. But here's the thing about the Lakers. You're correct in this aspect. Any team that has LeBron James, you're always going to have a chance to compete for a title. Now, other factors are involved. Health is one of them that we've seen throughout the year. The challenge with the Lakers this year is this. Are they still the team to beat when healthy? Yes. Now, if they end up in the 7th seed and have to play in the play-in game, the road to get to the finals is a little bit more exaggerated in regards to what you have to go through. It's different than being a 2 seed, 1 seed, where you know that you have home court advantage, which they can get by winning the game on the road. But also, your path is different because you don't have to go through some of the tougher assignments to get to the final. That's the challenge the Lakers have to face right now, being in the lower half of the playoff picture. Can they still do it when healthy? Yes. But the path this year, Acho, is a lot different for the Lakers.
I like that. Let's bring in NBA analyst Slick Ric Bucher. Because, Slick Rick, you heard my thoughts. You heard Jim J's thoughts. The path is definitely different. The path is definitely tougher. But where you stand, Slick, how do you feel about the Lakers?
Cautiously optimistic. And stop it, Acho, with saying you didn't even think about last night's game, because if without last night's win, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If we're coming off the disappointing losses to the Blazers and the Clippers, this is not the A block, Acho, so stop it. And if you look at what happened against the Suns, it was not true to form for either team. The Lakers won both the three-point shooting contest and the free throws by a wide margin. That's simply not how the Suns, on average, have performed this season in those two categories. They're a great free throw shooting team. They don't shoot more free throws than most, but they don't lose the free throw shooting game as definitively as they did last night, and they generally win the three-point shooting contest. So that is a factor. This is a little bit of an outlier when it comes to it. But that said, the Lakers did demonstrate, even without LeBron James, what they are capable of. And when I look at the play-in teams that they would have to face, if that's where they end up, and who they would then face as a result, which is these same Phoenix Suns, then I feel good about them getting into the real playoffs and having a series to get everybody together and get their mojo back. But you keep talking about experience, and this collection of Lakers does not have the experience. We're not looking at them as the same Lakers as the ones that won in the bubble because it's simply not the same team.
Okay, Slick. Hey now. Before I address you, I got to get to you, Jim J, because, hey, okay, you said that LeBron and injuries and health, it matters. I'm with you there. We all know that. But when I watch that Suns game and I see a Lakers team without their first best player, without their third best player, without their fourth best player, dismantle a Suns team, and Slick, we can say that the Suns were out of character. But I go back to this, Jim J. We all know the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But what happens when it does work hard? Highlight of the game for me, y'all. I don't know if y'all was still awake. It was 9:20. It was about 1:26 in the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis, strained calf and all, diving on the floor. Wherewithal to dive on the floor, but bigger wherewithal to call the timeout. They still had an 8-point lead. You ain't need to do all that, AD. You about 7 feet tall. For what? But what happens when talent does work hard? Without their first, third, and fourth best player, they still dismantled the Suns. For that reason, I think they could probably not skate by all teams, but they could get by most teams except the Clippers, even without LeBron James. Is that an asinine thought, Jim Jackson?
You are crazy. You know that, right? You are crazy. No, it's not asinine. But I'm not going to say the second team can't. The problem is this. We saw a one-game scenario there with Phoenix. They were at home. Great. Everybody played up. You know why? Because there was a sense of urgency knowing that they didn't want to be in that seventh spot. So you saw that desperation, so to speak, a controlled desperation early with the Lakers against this Phoenix Suns team. And to boot, this is a really good matchup for the Lakers without LeBron James, this Phoenix Suns team. So you got to kind of keep that in mind. If they don't have LeBron or Dennis Schroeder, and let's say they play against Utah, I don't think that the result is the same because Utah presents a different kind of formula and problem for the Lakers. So you can't look at it like, okay, without LeBron, without Schroeder, okay, maybe they can win a series like that. Well, it depends on, you know this, Oach, and also Rick, who you match up with. That's why it's important that the Lakers try to continue to climb the ladder to move up a little bit in order to have the right matchup. I honestly think, to me, that Denver, if they were back in the 5 seed, is a very good matchup for them in the first round to kind of get their mojo back because they don't have Murray. I know Jokic is going to be a handful, but they have size enough inside to compete against that.
Yeah, the other part of this, Acho, is the fact that we have a number of players with the Lakers who are bubble champions. We could have said the same thing about these Lakers for the most part going into last year's postseason or playoffs, in that was Kyle Kuzma a proven champion, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Anthony Davis, Alex Caruso. They all got that championship veneer last year by making that run. And now you're bringing those guys back, and I don't want to discount the experience and the value of winning a championship, no matter what the circumstances. But now you have a Dennis Schroeder and a Marc Gasol and a Wes Matthews and a Montrezl Harrell and an Andre Drummond, some of whom either do not appear to be anywhere close to what they were when they did have their best playoff appearances, or they have been massive underachievers in the postseason. Those are the guys that have to be incorporated into this. And if we learned one thing about the Lakers last year, it wasn't just LeBron and AD. It was Dwight Howard. It was Alex Caruso. They got contributions. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They got contributions from any number of ancillary players. And I dare say if they're going to win another championship, they're going to need that again. And that's why I'm only cautiously optimistic. They seem to be moving in the right direction, but they have so many unproven parts that I can't take their experience from last year and say, if they have the gang back together, then they'll do it again, because this is a different gang. And when it comes to AD diving on the floor, why do we have to make such a big deal about it?
It was a big deal.
Because it doesn't happen that often.
It was a big deal.
He does it one game, and suddenly it's like, oh, look at that. He's ready to go. I might need to see it twice before I'm going to buy into that.